What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing, and today I'm going to be predicting the outcome of Nonito Donaire versus Reymart Gaballo, and this is going to be a 12-rounder for the WBC Bantamweight World Championship, and this fight is going to be Saturday, December 11th, from the Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California, and this fight is going to be broadcasted on Showtime, and to gain both fighters' resumes, Nonito Donaire, fighting out of the Philippines, holds a record of 41 wins, 6 defeats, with 27 wins coming by way of knockout. He's currently ranked number 2 by BoxRec in the Bantamweight division. He's also the current WBC Bantamweight World Champion, as well as a former 4-weight World Champion. And now to list all 6 of his defeats, he has a unanimous decision loss to Naoya Inoue in the World Boxing Super Series Bantamweight Final. He has a unanimous decision defeat to Carl Frampton, a unanimous decision loss to Jesse Magdaleno, a knockout loss to Nicholas Walters, a unanimous decision defeat to Guillermo Rigondeaux, a unanimous decision defeat as well to Rosendo Sanchez, but that was back early on in his career. And not to list some of his best victories, he has a knockout win over Victor Archinian twice, both in their first fight and their second fight. He has a knockout victory over Maruti Mtalani, a knockout victory back in May to become the WBC Bantamweight World Champion over Nordine Ubali. He also has a knockout win over Fernando Montiel, a knockout victory over Ryan Burnett, a unanimous decision victory over Omar Andres Narvaez, and he has a knockout win over Jorge Arce. And to get his opponent's resume, Reymart Gaballo, also fighting out of the Philippines, holds a record of 24 wins, no defeats, with 20 wins coming by way of knockout. He's currently ranked number 7 by BoxRec in the Bantamweight division. He is also the current WBC interim Bantamweight World Champion, as well as the former WBA interim Bantamweight World Champion. And now to list some of his best victories. He has a highly controversial split decision win over Emmanuel Rodriguez, although I thought he lost that fight pretty clear. It's still a win on paper. He also has a unanimous decision win over Stephen Young. And in my opinion, this fight is going to go in favor of the more experienced, seasoned veteran 4-division champion, as mentioned before, Nonito Donaire. I just think Donaire is too experienced for him. Gaballo in his last fight barely eked out a gift win over Emmanuel Rodriguez. I thought Rodriguez simply outboxed him. He was able to land some nice counter punches. Gaballo, his defense wasn't that great. But here, I just think Donaire will be too much for him, and I think that he should be able to stop Gaballo. Donaire, in his last fight, looked explosive, brutally knocking out Nordine Ubali when I thought that Ubali was going to work on the outside and actually get a close point to win over Donaire, but he did not. And Donaire, he still looks strong at his age, and he's been looking pretty good in his last couple of fights. And even when he fought Naoya Inoue in his last defeat, which was in 2019, November, I believe so, and it was a very fun fight, very competitive fight as well. Both fighters were hurt on numerous occasions, and it was a great final to the World Boxing Super Series. But now, he's definitely in contention to possibly rematching Naoya Inoue if he gets past Gaballo, which he most likely will. And how I see this fight going down, I think Donaire will be the one stalking Gaballo down. Although Gaballo does like to come forward himself, I think that he will. But I think I don't really think that he's much smarter of a fighter to really keep his hands up. I don't really think he has great ring IQ per se, because even Rodriguez, which was his last opponent, as mentioned before, isn't a fighter who really carries a lot of power. Same with Stephen Young, who was his second best victory, in my opinion, on paper. And yeah, I just don't think that he'll be able to come forward at will against Donaire, because Donaire will pop him with a left hook, and that could just knock Gaballo back, could knock him down, could really get him hurt, because Donaire does carry a vicious left hook, and if landed, it could really cause some damage to Gaballo and could possibly drop him or knock him out. So Gaballo, I'm really not sure on how he's going to fight, whether he's going to fight smart and try and counter Donaire, or if he's going to come forward and try and push back Donaire, which might be smart in a sense. Although I did mention how he could get caught if he comes forward a lot, but it depending on how he does it. If he comes forward just trying to rush in, throw shots, and not really have thought with those shots, he could definitely get knocked out early. But if he goes in there calculated, trying to jab to the body, set up shots to the head, and possibly land some nice counters on Donaire, then he could definitely last a couple rounds, but I still think in the end he will get stopped in this one. I just can't see Donaire not really getting the victory here, or just not getting the victory here. I think Donaire is 100% going to win this fight. He's just way too experienced. I think he's too powerful here, and he's just the far better fighter technically, and has the better ring IQ. And yeah, I think Gaballo will last a couple of rounds, might last into the second half of the fight, up until he just gets broken down too much from Donaire's power shots. Donaire is just a very powerful fighter. Donaire will dig him to the body multiple times, dig up or go to the head with those hooks that he possesses, and he just has a lot of power, and I think it will be too much. Just simply for Gaballo. And I think every round will be very similar, except maybe the first round, which could be a feel-out round for both and could be just really close where both men are obviously not really too sure on what game plan they're going to establish in this fight yet. But yeah, I just think that Donaire will be too fast, too strong, and just overall too experienced for Gaballo. And he'll be the one really dictating the pace of the fight, landing the better, harder, more clean shots throughout every round up until Donaire drops, hurts Gaballo multiple times, and gets like a standing stoppage, or just referee waves it off when he's on the canvas, or that Gaballo just doesn't make the 10 count or something like that. Just overall, I see him getting a knockout or TKO over Reymart Gaballo. And Gaballo, I mean, it's not like he's just some slouch. I mean, he is the interim champion, as mentioned before, so he definitely earned this shot. But, I mean, this will be a good showcase, in my opinion, for Nonito Donaire, and a good victory nonetheless. So, with that being said, how do I see this fight ending, or where do I see this fight ending, or when, I should say. I think that this fight will end from round 6 to round 10, so just at the start of the middle rounds, all the way up until sort of the later rounds. But I think at that point, Donaire will be ahead comfortably, and maybe Gaballo could sneak out maybe 2 rounds at most, in my opinion. But I just think that Donaire, as I mentioned many times in this video, will be just too powerful and too experienced for Gaballo. So overall, I believe that Nonito Donaire will defeat WBC interim bantamweight champion Reymart Gaballo by knockout. And once again, I think the stoppage will happen from round 6 to round 10. And yeah, that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.